Welcome back. I'm so excited you're here. We're going to do another non-traditional experiment today. We're going to focus on fermenting another type of food. This food is called kimchi, which is a really amazing, yummy Korean dish. And we're going to make a very simple version of that, and I hope you'll try it at home too. So today we're going to focus on making another fermented food, just like we do in my fermentation class. Remember, fermented foods are really awesome for your GI system. Very great because you know what you're going to be eating. Remember, clean is better with no preservatives. And then also, again, saving money, which is awesome too. So we're going to be looking at kimchi, which is a traditional Korean dish. And what Koreans in the past used to do and why people used fermented foods, period, is for preservation. So think about those long winter months when we weren't producing any vegetables. So this is a way that during the summer we could prepare foods that we could eat all winter long. So this is a great way to do that. So kimchi is a traditional dish which has lots of different vegetables, but traditionally Napa cabbage. So that's what we're going to be using is the Napa cabbage here today. It also has traditionally salt. Sea salt is usually a little bit better to help get the juices out of the cabbage. Garlic is really important for flavoring, and then also chilies. So you can use chilies or chili powder or chili flakes. The nice thing is that chilies not only give it flavor, which is awesome, but also you get a nice antimicrobial property from the capsaicin that is present in the chilies as well. So we're going to make this easy dish, and again, the first thing you want to do is start with Napa cabbage. You can use a whole head or a half a head. So this is your half head of your Napa cabbage that's already been sliced into little pieces, and eventually it's going to look like this when we're done putting it together and after a fermentation process. So we start by chopping up our cabbage. Some people leave the leaves rather large, but it takes a little bit longer for the processing. So I like to keep it simple, particularly for my class. So I chop it up into little pieces. And then I also like to make a paste of the other three components. So this has the garlic, it's got the chili powder, and it also has that sea salt in there as well. So if you mix it all up, it makes it a little bit easier when you're layering it into your vessel. So we're going to start with our cut up cabbage. We're going to use our mortar and our pestle, which is great in science, but also in the kitchen. So I strongly recommend you get one of these if you don't have one. It can be used for a lot of awesome things. So we're going to take our cabbage and we're going to put it into our mortar. And we're going to use our pestle to smash it. This is a great way to get some aggression out. My fermentation students love this part, particularly if they have tests that week. You're going to smash it as much as possible to get as much liquid out as possible. Okay, so once I have a decent amount of that cabbage smashed up, I'm going to start making layers in my mason jar. So you can see that I have a pretty fancy version of that I use for my fermentation class. And you don't need to have this fancy version. You can just use a regular mason jar. The nice thing about this is it's got this little telltale indicator up here which shows us that fermentation is happening. So the little bubbles that accumulate up here are the carbon dioxide gas that's actually released. This is just fun for the students, but at home you wouldn't need that. So you want to start layering the cabbage. So that's my smashed up Napa cabbage in the jar. And then I'm going to start putting a little bit of my paste in there as well. And I like to layer it in there so that the flavors are melded nicely. So I'm going to use my pestle again to smash that around. Nice stress reliever. And then I'm going to layer another amount of cabbage in there as well. So I've smashed some more, and I'm going to put another layer of my cabbage into my mason jar. I'm going to add some more of my paste. Give it another nice smash. The liquids are starting to form in here, which is awesome. That's going to help with the fermentation. So that's why we're smashing this guy up. I'm going to do one more layer so we can layer that on top, and then we'll smash it down with our paste again. So we're going to put our final layer of our cabbage into our mason jar. And you can see that was a half a head of Napa cabbage, and it's really reduced dramatically. So you could fit, maybe even a couple of heads in here, which is awesome. And that will feed quite a few people. I'm going to put my last amount of my paste. Remember, that's the sea salt, the chili powder, and the garlic. And then I'm going to give this a final smash. You can see all those good liquids in there. Now we're essentially done putting together the kimchi, so all we need to do is put a lid on this, oops, in a way that it won't fall. And we're going to want to close this up. And then we're going to sit this on our kitchen counter for 2 to 7 days. So the longer that you let it ferment, the more sour flavor it gets. So I recommend starting with the 2 to 3 day fermentation first to see if you actually like the flavor. It is a little bit strong, can be pungent to smell. The students sometimes are a little bit overtaken by the smell, but it's something you actually get used to, and it actually is quite addictive. The kimchi is something that after you ferment, again, you take it out. If you know that you like a 2-day fermentation, ferment for 2 days and then put it in the fridge, and you can keep it in the fridge for up to a week to eat, which is great. So you can think about doing this in batches for periods of time. People eat this with stir fries. It's a great side for stir fries. You can do it in like a breakfast scramble. You can put it with, you can do lunches with rice, all different kinds of things. It's a great side for chicken or steak, fish, you name it. So you can put it with anything. It really is quite remarkable. The other really cool thing too is that we didn't add any microorganisms to this. So remember when we did yogurt, we added the yogurt which had the live cultures, those microorganisms, the bacterial species in it. This actually has nothing that we've added. It's the normal flora that's present on that cabbage. Even though you wash it, there still is bacteria that's present on that. And that's what's actually creating the fermentation product for your kimchi. So that's that, and I'm going to open this guy up. So this one, I've fermented it for 7 days, so this has been a 7-day fermentation. I like the stronger, more acidic flavor, more sour flavor that you get from it. So you can see in the front there all that good liquid. Again, that will start to accumulate more in my fermentation, and this again is going to taste fantastic. Yum. It's really spicy, which I like, and you can control, sorry, so good. You can actually control the flavor, so you can add more or less of the chili powder. You do want to make sure you add some for the antimicrobial properties, but you can control the spiciness, which is really awesome. So this is, again, fabulous, and there's been studies done on kimchi now that are showing that there are more good microorganisms in kimchi than there are in the yogurt that we talked about as well. So this is a super awesome thing to eat for your health. As you saw, super easy to make. You can actually substitute any vegetable you want in here. You could put cabbage and cucumbers and carrots, whatever you want to preserve. You can do that. Or you can just start with the Napa cabbage like I did here. So Napa cabbage turns into kimchi, again, 2 to 7 days. It's a fermented product, super easy, super delicious, as you saw, and definitely not scary.